Smart women move with strategy, not emotion, and that doesn't mean they don't feel deeply. It means they don't let temporary feelings make permanent decisions. They understand that emotions are real, powerful, and human, but they are also short-term signals, not long-term plans. Smart women pause before they react. They breathe before they respond. They look at the bigger picture while everyone else is stuck in the moment. That pause, that's power. A strategic woman knows that reacting emotionally might feel good right now, but it can cost her later, cost her respect, cost her peace, cost her progress. So instead of snapping back, she steps back. Instead of explaining herself to people who already decided not to understand her, she saves her breath. She's not cold, she's calculated, she's not weak, she's aware. She understands that every move she makes is either building a future or delaying it. That's why she doesn't let anger choose her words, jealousy choose her actions, or fear choose her path. She watches, she listens, she studies people quietly. She sees patterns before problems. By the time others realize what's happening, she already adjusted her position. And smart women don't argue every point they can win. They don't correct every lie told about them. They don't jump into every emotional storm. They ask themselves one simple question: does this move me forward or pull me backward? If it doesn't serve the long game, they let it go. That's not losing, that's discipline. A strategic woman understands timing. She knows when to speak and when silence will say more. She knows when to act fast and when patience will bring a better outcome. She doesn't rush relationships, opportunities, or decisions just because she feels lonely, excited, or pressured. Feelings come and go, consequences stay, so she chooses carefully. She also knows that emotions are often used as weapons against women. Society expects her to react, to explain, to justify, to soften herself. A smart woman flips that expectation. She stays composed while others get loud. She stays focused while others get distracted. And that calm, it unsettles people who rely on chaos to feel powerful. Moving with strategy means she doesn't let one bad day define her, one mistake label her, or one loss stop her. She processes emotions privately and makes decisions objectively. She gives herself time to feel, then she gives herself direction. She doesn't deny pain, she just refuses to let pain drive. Smart women also understand that strategy requires self-control. Not everything you think needs to be said. Not everything you feel needs to be shown. Not every opportunity deserves a yes. She protects her image, her reputation, and her future with intention. She knows people are always watching, even when they pretend not to care. So she moves like someone who knows her life has weight.
She doesn't chase closure from people who never plan to give it. She creates her own closure by outgrowing situations. She doesn't beg for consistency. She aligns herself with environments where consistency is normal. That's strategy. That's knowing your worth without shouting it.
A strategic woman is dangerous in the best way because she can sit in a room where she's underestimated and never rush to prove herself. She lets time reveal her value. She lets results do the talking. While others burn bridges in emotional moments, she builds roads quietly. She knows when to walk away, not out of anger, but clarity. She knows that sometimes the strongest move is not responding at all. Silence becomes her statement. Distance becomes her protection. Focus becomes her revenge. And make no mistake, this kind of woman still feels heartbreak, disappointment, frustration, and fear. The difference is she doesn't let those emotions turn into reckless choices. She turns pain into precision. She turns lessons into leverage. She turns setbacks into setups. In the long run, strategy always beats emotion. Emotion reacts, strategy plans. Emotion wants relief, strategy wants results. Emotion asks, how do I feel right now? Strategy asks, where will this put me next year? That's why smart women don't crumble under pressure. They don't lose themselves in chaos. They don't fall when things get uncomfortable. They stay composed, stay focused, and stay moving forward even when nobody claps, even when nobody understands, because they're not playing for the moment. They're playing for the legacy. Discipline beats motivation every single time, because motivation is a feeling and discipline is a decision. Feelings change with the weather, with sleep, with moods, with people. Discipline stays. Discipline shows up when nobody's watching, when nobody's cheering, when there's no reward in sight. That's the difference between people who talk about winning and people who actually build something that lasts. Motivation is loud, it shows up strong, talks big, makes promises, Discipline is quiet. It doesn't announce itself. It just gets the work done. Motivation says, I'm ready when I feel inspired. Discipline says, I'm ready because this is what I committed to. One depends on emotion. The other depends on standards. And standards don't negotiate. Everybody feels motivated at the start, at the beginning of the year, at the beginning of a goal, at the beginning of a vision. That part is easy. What separates the real ones is who stays consistent when motivation disappears, because it always disappears. Life hits, doubt creeps in, progress feels slow, results don't show up on schedule. That's where discipline steps in and carries you forward when motivation can't. Discipline understands something most people avoid. You don't need to feel good to do what's right. You don't need excitement to show up. You don't need confidence to take the next step. You need commitment. You need structure. You need a code you live by even on your worst days, especially on your worst days. Motivation will have you starting and stopping. Discipline has you stacking days. Motivation loves quick wins. Discipline loves long-term growth. Motivation wants applause. Discipline is fine with silence. And silence is where most greatness is built. When you're disciplined, you don't wait for perfect conditions. You work with what you have. You adjust, you adapt, you keep moving. You understand that progress isn't about intensity. It's about consistency. Showing up every day at 70% beats showing up once at 100% and disappearing for weeks. Discipline trains your mind to lead your emotions instead of being controlled by them. You don't ask yourself, do I feel like it? You ask, what needs to be done? That shift alone changes everything, because now your life isn't dictated by moods, excuses, or external circumstances. It's dictated by your values. People admire motivation because it looks good. Discipline doesn't look good. It looks boring. It looks repetitive. It looks lonely. But boring done consistently becomes elite. Repetition builds mastery. Loneliness builds clarity. Discipline is the price of freedom, even though it feels restrictive at first. A disciplined person doesn't need external pressure to perform. They apply pressure to themselves. They don't need reminders. They don't need threats. They don't need someone watching. Their word to themselves is enough. And when you keep promises to yourself, you build self-respect. That self-respect becomes unshakable confidence. Discipline also protects you from self-sabotage. On days when motivation will push you to quit, discipline keeps you grounded. On days when motivation will push you to rush, discipline tells you to slow down. It balances you. It keeps you from making emotional decisions that cost you later. Most people don't fail because they lack talent or intelligence. They fail because they rely on motivation to carry them through a journey that requires discipline. Motivation is a spark. Discipline is the engine. A spark can start a fire, but only an engine can take you across miles. Discipline teaches patience. It teaches humility. It teaches you how to work without immediate validation. It conditions you to trust the process instead of chasing shortcuts. And shortcuts always come with hidden costs, burnout, regret, inconsistency, starting over. When you're disciplined, you don't need to convince people of your vision. Your habits speak for you, your progress speaks for you, your consistency speaks for you. Over time, people start questioning you and start watching you. Discipline isn't about being perfect. It's about being reliable. It's about getting back on track quickly when you fall off. It's about choosing progress over comfort again and again. And that choice compounds. Small disciplined actions repeated daily create massive results over time. Motivation will come and go. Discipline builds a life that doesn't fall apart when it does. That's why discipline always wins. Not fast, not flashy, but forever. Because in the end, success doesn't belong to the most motivated. It belongs to the most disciplined. Self-respect is the foundation of power, wealth, and peace, because without it, everything else leaks. You can have talent, opportunities, even money in your hands, but if you don't respect yourself, it all slips through your fingers. Self-respect is the line you refuse to cross, even when no one is watching. It's a standard you hold when shortcuts look tempting and compromise feels easy. It's not loud, it's not flashy, it's quiet, rooted and unshakable. A person with self-respect doesn't beg for acceptance. They don't shrink to fit rooms that were never meant for them. They don't tolerate disrespect just to avoid being alone. They understand that loneliness with dignity is lighter than company without honor. That understanding alone gives them power, because power begins the moment you stop needing validation to survive. Self-respect is where boundaries are born. When you respect yourself, you don't explain your worth, you enforce it. You don't argue about your limits, you live by them. People might test you at first because that's what the world does. But once they realize you don't bend, they either adjust or disappear. Both outcomes are wins. Wealth doesn't grow where self-respect is missing. Money responds to discipline, consistency, and self-control, all rooted in how much you value yourself. When you respect yourself, you don't waste time, energy, or resources on things that don't align. You don't chase quick money that costs your reputation. You don't sell your integrity for temporary gain. You play the long game because you believe your future is worth protecting. Self-respect changes how you move in business, work, and life. You don't underprice your skills. You don't overwork to prove your value. You know when to walk away from deals that look good on paper but feel wrong in your spirit. That awareness saves you from losses most people don't even see coming. Peace is impossible without self-respect. You can't be at peace while constantly betraying yourself. Every time you stay silent when you should speak, stay when you should leave, or accept less than you deserve, you create inner noise. That noise builds anxiety, resentment, and exhaustion. Self-respect quiets all of that. It brings alignment between who you are and how you live. People with self-respect sleep better. Not because life is perfect, but because their conscience is clean. They don't replay conversations wishing they had stood up for themselves. They don't carry the weight of pretending. They don't need to prove anything. They move light because they're not at war with themselves. Self-respect also teaches patience. You stop rushing outcomes because you trust your process. You don't force relationships, opportunities, or success. You allow things to unfold naturally, knowing that what's meant for you will meet you at your level. That patience is strength. That patience protects your peace. When you respect yourself, your circle changes. Not because you cut people off dramatically, but because your standards rise quietly. You stop entertaining energy that drains you. You stop explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. Your environment becomes calmer, sharper, more intentional. Power grows from self-respect because you become harder to manipulate. Guilt doesn't control you. Fear doesn't corner you. Pressure doesn't move you. You know who you are, so you don't fold when tested. That stability makes you dangerous in the best way, steady, focused, and grounded. Self-respect doesn't make you arrogant. It makes you honest. You can admit mistakes without losing dignity. You can grow without losing identity. You can listen without being controlled. That balance is rare, and that's why it's valuable. In the end, self-respect is the root. Power grows from it. Wealth multiplies from it. Peace rests on it. Take it away and everything collapses. Build it strong and nothing can shake you. Because when you respect yourself, you stop asking the world for permission and start moving like you belong.